Bleeding Hearts Club, where we alchemize pain into something beautiful. I'm Shroot, and this is my co-host Stevie.
Mm.
Hi. So, we are really excited to bring you this podcast. And first, we'll start off by getting a little bit into who we are and what we're doing. I am Shroot. I'm an astrologer who teaches people how to use self-reflective astrology to ground themselves and cultivate a lasting relationship to their intuition. Do you want to tell us who you are, Stevie?
Yeah, I got so thrown off when you were like, I am Shroot because I imagined you as like baby Groot.
Yeah, I am Baby Groot. You're right.
And
I'm
then I
Baby Groot. I'm a little shrew tree.
and then I just imagined you as Groot. So I got lost in that. But
Yeah.
hi everyone, is Stevie. I use they and she pronouns, and I am a queer, non-binary, and neurodivergent tarot reader, Reiki master, social worker, and death doula. I provide a gentle environment that supports folks through transitions of all kinds, bringing compassion to where you've been, mindfulness to where you are right now, and empowerment for where you want to go next. And as a death worker, I use death as my North Star, asking what kind we want. No, asking what kind of life we want to live until we die.
That's
So, hi.
beautiful. Hello. I'm so excited for this. So we wanted to talk first a little bit about how we met. It's a little bit of a funny story, to put it mildly. So the short end of it is that Stevie dated my mortal enemy in college. And we kind of, uh, you know, we weren't necessarily friends back then because of that. But that was nothing on either of our faults. That was, a toxic man in the middle, but um, that's okay. It's in the past. And I think it's funny that it's what brought us initially together. And then
Yes.
we had another mutual friend who is really good friends with Stevie, shout out Andrew, who kind of brought us together in a friendly capacity, as opposed to uh, me hating that man and everything about him. He was in the past. And then yeah, we reconnected in 2020 for good. Do you want to share your piece of that or
So, that man um ended up writing an entire album about me, minus one song, who was about his ex-girlfriend. Good times. But he ended up dropping that album like 4 years after we broke up. And it just came out of nowhere for me. I thought we were good.
yeah.
I thought we had
He
made
didn't reach
amends.
out to you either, did he?
No,
Like
he
he
did
just put it
not.
out. Yeah.
He did. And yeah, I, from a trusted source, found out that all the songs, minus that one, were about me. And it just threw, it was during finals season for me. I was in grad school at the time, and it just really threw me off. And I ended up getting an A in the class, thank God. But when I was thinking about how I wanted to approach it, because I just felt really violated, um, I reached out to Shroot and I was like, can we have a reading about what I'm supposed to do with this? And we ended up deciding, or not deciding, but like Shroot looked at the astro, and it just seemed like an opportunity for me to break the cycle by speaking out publicly instead of to him directly, and just falling for whatever bullshit that was going to bring. And we have just been pals ever since, doing
Yeah.
these readings for each other for 4 freaking years.
Yeah. It was uh it was amazing. I mean, I in that reading from my end, like I was so shocked at Stevie's chart. Like I just saw so much capacity for healing and for facilitating that space. And I found such a tremendous like ability for like Stevie to be a part of like creating structural change, like, in industries that she's a part of as a social worker. And I was just so stoked. I was like, Stevie, you gotta be, your fullest baddie potential. And I kind of Stevie had mentioned being interested in reading tarot and that she was starting to get into it. And I was like, I volunteer as tribute, please. Use me as your little dummy. And that's how we kind of birthed. We have a joint offering together called Dance with Datura, and it started from that early 2020 joint tarot and astrology readings that we would give each other. And so I always like laugh that Stevie and I like we're so close now, and like we're so excited to work together and to put this podcast on. We have so much that we want to talk about together and unpack as like a product of these readings that we've done for each other together. And I just love that the origin story is some shitty man. Like,
I
chef's
do.
kiss. Um, and so yeah, so we have a joint offering that we do together called Dance with Datura, and we kind of named it that because um the point of the reading is to facilitate space for people to learn how to bloom even in the dark. And we like to hold space for people's shadow self, for the parts of people's, self that they feel the least confident about, the least, resourced to deal with. Both of us are Scorpio dominant Libras. We're actually born a week apart. So we have very similar charts, and we're both very Scorpio heavy Libras who have this ability to hold space for really deep, dark emotions and experiences, and we can help you create that kind of almost like a cauldron that uh, instills change within you, and that allows you to really step into your full embodied self and move through those tough moments. So, like, just for example, like that kind of birth of me and Stevie's working relationship where Stevie had that opportunity to face something that was really emotionally, sensitive and painful and um infuriating. Like there's so many mixed emotions about the first reading that me and Stevie had together because of somebody doing that to her, of releasing music about her without her consent. And I just feel like we where was I going with that? Oh yeah, that was my example for, what's possible with this work that we do together, because they were able to break these like tremendous patterns within themselves. And I've just been, so privileged to witness Stevie's growth, and kind of step into um, leadership roles in this kind of healing and wellness space, and step into that trust and ability that they could totally wield this kind of responsibility, and that they do so successfully. And so that's kind of what like the intention is behind our Dance with Datura reading, which is a joint tarot and astrology reading that we offer together. And we kind of really enjoy being able to create that space for other people and give people an opportunity to tap into that capacity for blooming even in the dark. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that, Stevie? Or I know I kind of yapped a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Well, first of all, as we were talking about our origin story, our lore,
Yeah.
I realized that that was an example of us alchemizing pain, or like
Yes.
me, I guess, alchemizing pain into something beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you and I were not
You
friends.
know, I was definitely not on the ex's side when I was friends with this mortal enemy's ex before Stevie, and therefore I was not pro that new relationship, and therefore I was like, Stevie, don't know them. Like, but yeah, I was thinking that's actually for me, the pain of watching, because that was the second breakup before Stevie, that I had watched this person kind of destroy somebody in my life that I had cared about. And I was like, I fucking hate this man. Like I have no, shortage of horrible things to say about this person. Like, oh my God, no redeeming qualities. But I was so like fed up and I was so angry. And, we were 19 years old. Like, I didn't know where to channel that anger. I hadn't fully figured out, like, oh yeah, the problem is him entirely. And I think in order for both of us to actually become friends, I had to alchemize that pain, and I had to say, oh yeah, let's direct it at the actual person who's responsible for all of this, and not, you catching a stray for being swept up in the same that, I had. It's like that meme of the Grim Reaper and he's like going to different doors with the scythe
Yeah.
and like literally like that's what it was. It was it was such a terrible era. And so I had to like release that like resentment and I had to release that pain and uh I was so grateful to get to know you because I was like, wow, you're like so funny and like it was just like, of course, like yet another person who he does not deserve. Like I shouldn't be shocked. Like if that man had anything in that era, it was taste, unfortunately. So yeah, we were. It was an example of that Bleeding Hearts Club, our little alchemy.
Gosh, you said that was we were 19.
We were
That's so
19.
up.
That's 10
That's
years ago.
years ago.
Yeah.
That
Ooh.
okay.
Yeah. But I think it's so beautiful that like those seeds were planted and they were messy as hell and they were raw and they were very unprocessed. And, I think us doing this podcast together is such a testament to um us blooming even in the dark because it's been a hell of a decade for us for sure. And I think both of us have overcome so much and grown into ourselves so much. And I'm excited to share that with the world.
Hooray.
Hooray!
Good night.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts before we pivot to our little audience question?
Well, the second thing that I wanted to say was just like, well, I wanted to gush over you now, just
Thank you.
because even though like, you know, I don't know, I just feel like I've looked up to you for so long with your astrology work and just being able to really build my tarot practice and just like I don't know, human practice with you has been so beautiful. Truly, just
Thank
like
you.
we are really doing this. Like we are really confronting our pain and being witnessed
Yeah.
doing that. Like, like I was a stranger to you. And
Hmm.
for me to, oh, Shroot, well, like the cards are saying this. And like, how are you feeling about this? And then, like, where is this coming from? And all the tears
Hmm.
that we have shed, all the laughs that we hee hee ha ha'd, all the rage that we've held for each other. I love it so much.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
just, I'm so proud of you and I'm so happy to be here with you, just as your friend, as your pal, and I guess now your co-host
Yeah.
on a podcast. So that's it. Life is a trip.
Yeah. For real. I know. I couldn't have imagined that we would be here 10 years ago. Like, even close. Like, I didn't even believe in astrology 10 years ago. That's so great. Thank you for those kind words. Oh, amazing. Wow. Wow. I'm so excited. This is great. Um, ah, I'm like blushing. You can't see, but wow. That was really kind. I appreciate it. It's so mutual. But yeah, wow, there's been so many memories the last 4 years. Stevie and I actually aren't even based on the same side of the country anymore. We're both from California. But I'm based in Florida now. And Stevie, where are you based if you feel comfy sharing?
In the Long Beach,
Yeah. So
California.
we are sending love to each other from coast to coast. I also think to a certain extent, I think this podcast is a love letter for us from to each other, from each other from coast to coast. That we can share this space together and um, welcome other people who may feel similarly than we do into that space and create kind of a community around that, which is what the Bleeding Hearts Club is all about. So, for all our lovers and yearners out there, we too. We too can relate. So we wanted to kind of incorporate an audience question for each episode. So if you have a question, go ahead and send to us. It can be about astrology, it can be about tarot, it can be about both. You can even literally, send in your birth information and we'll kind of quickly, pull a card for you and do a little bit of a read for you. It can be about your life, it can be about history, it can be about, I don't know, mental health, like spirituality, whatever, like literally whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about politics as well. So yeah, so feel free to share a question to us. You can email us, it'll be in the show notes, but you can email us at bleedingheartsclub.pod@gmail.com. And let us know what you think. But to start us off, we peer pressured our mutual, who is the reason we're friends, to give us the question. And you want to read out our audience question, Stevie?
Ah, okay. It is what was your first joint reading collaboration like? Mm,
Hmm.
mm,
You want to answer first, or you want me to? You answer
mm.
first.
First, okay. It was a lot of fun, even though like Shroot and I have known this person for, I mean, for me, I guess a decade, and for
Hmm.
sure much longer.
Yeah, since middle school, technically.
Yeah, my goodness. It was still nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
like just yeah. I wanted to do a good job, and that's because I'm a Libra.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we did this reading for our really, really, really good friend before seeing Beyonce together, like live, like truly, like we had a couple hours before we had to leave for the concert, and that's when we decided to do the reading, which was very questionable and definitely put him in a weird space.
We live like this as Scorpio dominant people. It wasn't anything for us to deep dive into somebody like that, but we were like, oh, maybe not before a hype ass concert like the Renaissance World Tour. So sorry to our friend, but he was a great sport.
That man.
Yeah.
Um, sure. Do you want to add anything
Yeah,
to it?
it was so fun. So, kind of the way that we do our joint readings is Stevie will ask the client to do kind of like a little bit of a body scan, a little bit of a meditation to drop into their body. And Stevie will be shuffling the cards, and I will pull up the chart of their birthday. And um, Stevie pulls the cards. Sometimes they'll have um, a person tell, like, say when to stop. And so then there's a little bit of a client input on what cards come out. And then we kind of dive in where Stevie will chat about the different cards that came up, what themes, and what I love about Stevie's ability with the cards. And this is why I was so drawn to their work, even kind of before they were offering it to other people publicly, was that Stevie has this incredible ability to tap. And like, we just did a joint reading for ourselves like last week, and literally, like, Stevie will find exactly like the thing that you are like burying and like the thing that is like latent within you that is like affecting your life so deeply and like you don't even really have even conscious awareness of it sometimes. But Stevie will just ask like the perfect question that like brings it out of you and um Stevie's so gentle with it. Like you never feel scared in that environment. Like I think the conversations that we had in that reading with our friend, like I said, we'd been friends with this friend for so long and we had never had conversations like that with our friend. And we're close, like we're really, really good friends. And it was just, yeah, that's all Stevie. Like that's Stevie's ability to just draw out this kind of buried, latent wounding. You know, yes, Stevie is a Scorpio rising, if any astrology fans knows what that means, but Stevie's Pluto in Scorpio. They're so tapped in and they can like really sense that in other people. And so Stevie will kind of go over the tarot and ask these really gentle but pointed questions that unearth this like, you know, buried stuff within you and give you such a safe space to really chat about it. And then I come in with the astrology, like, bam, here's what you can do about it. Like, and here's the transits that are activating it and why it's coming up and how long that will feel like this for. And I kind of bring it a little bit back into the like material, practical reality with like a lot of strategies. And I find that a little bit funny that the astrology has the ability to do that because I think that people associate astrology with something so meta and something so kind of like not practical. And it's always a joy of mine to use astrology for such a practical purpose and to help people really ground deeper into their lives. And so that's where I come in and we kind of go card by card like that. And it's just, whoo, it's magic. Like it's really something to witness. So um, I'm so grateful to like have this offering with you. I think it's really powerful.
Ugh, I love us.
Yeah, me too. I'm proud of us.
And if no one else does, I do.
Yeah, for real. That's gorgeous. So you can find the link to book with us at shrootries.as.me/DWD or at the link in the show notes. So you pulled a card today. Do we want to pivot to that?
Yeah, I've pulled a few actually, just
Ooh.
and it's actually kind of funny
Uh-huh.
because these are cards. Two of them were the cards that I pulled for you in our last joint reading together. So,
Okay.
mhm. And then, all right. Okay, everybody. All right, I pulled three cards for the month of June, and we'll just see. We'll just go with it. I'm
Yeah.
using the Herb Crafter's Tarot deck. Um, and the first one that I pulled, I wonder if you'll be able to see this. We'll see. Um, it is called Three of Water, which would just be like Three of Cups. And the herb that is connected to it is lemon balm. So I don't know if you could really see it in here. And I'll just describe it for those who are listening. It is a like a table set out next to like this big, like flourishing lemon balm, I think. Um, it's a table and it's a tea set, like a children's like tea set. It's got a cute blue and pink teapot with a heart on it and cupcakes and tea and a little, is that a cat or a mouse?
Hmm.
I don't know.
An
And I should
animal.
know. I'm gonna say it's a cat. It's a little cat stuffed toy on like a little pink chair.
That's very sweet.
I know, it's so cute. I want to do it. I want to hang out like that.
For
Um,
real. That's perfect for the season.
I know. And it's just like a bright, sunny day in in the card, in this realm of the card. Basically, this card is, I guess, just like the energy of it is a really uplifting spirit. Um, just kind of like childlike wonder and playfulness and giggles. Um, it's the card about celebrating your friendships and like, I don't know, just like spending time with the people that you love and care about. Specifically, I feel like it's spending time with the people that you can share your authentic self with. I get the sense that, like, maybe some of us have recently lost friendships and I don't know, feel kind of bummed out about it. Whether or not it was like a conscious, intentional thing to do, or if it's just like you fell out of relationship with them. I think this card and this moment is just kind of inviting you to be like, the people in my life are here for a reason. They're here intentionally. They're here because I want them to be and because they want to be. And I think that's very beautiful. When you celebrate with your friends and just like spend intentional time with them, that is a way of nurturing and nourishing your friendships and your relationships because your heart is worth sharing with other people and you are worth receiving other people's love as well. And just, I don't know, isn't life so beautiful sometimes? And yeah, those are the vibes of this card. And I don't know, I just want us to have fun. This is a very like Libra love card.
Yeah. Girls just want to have fun.
Let them.
Justice for the girls who just want to have fun. I feel like the astrology lines up so nicely with that. Actually, it's interesting. So June is mostly Gemini season, and I have been giving quite a few readings to my Gemini clients, and the theme for them this year is pretty much that, like heart-centered, time with their community, and to really be paying attention to um, what like who's pouring back into them, who's willing to hee hee ha ha with them, who's kind of sharing that brain cell or like that like vibration of joy and laughter and or even just presence because I understand that like times are really tough and it can be hard to conjure up that feeling of joy and laughter sometimes, but I think just even presence is so powerful this month. So yeah, I love that. I felt like the astrology lined up so well with that. I was like, oh, perfect, Gemini energy.
um, I just have a question. Like,
Yeah.
I know that like June, we're going into the summer.
Mhm.
What is your relationship with the summer? I feel like
Yeah.
people have different thoughts, different feelings about June and the summer and like I don't know, the season in general. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I haven't, I don't know. It's interesting because so I feel like sometimes people are like, this is all you talk about, but I mean when it's your life, of course it's all you
Yeah.
talk about. But I've been sick. I've been really disabled and really bedridden for the last 10 years of my life. And I'm finally kind of getting out from under that. So summer for the last 10 years to me has just been another day. Like I can barely still go outside. I can barely still enjoy. What I will say is I'm a summer gal. I'm a summer pal. I love summer. And I'm really excited to like be able to enjoy it without all of these kind of qualifications of like, is there somewhere comfortable I can say? Like back when we lived in Santa Cruz, I would spend like all summer at the beach, like because as a disabled person, like it's so easy to just let I'm already suffering laying down, like I might as well do it at the beach. So I'm hoping to here in Florida go spend some time at the beach this summer and here, I love summer here because, this is something people complain about, but it's so humid and I love the humidity. That's like literally why I moved here. And I just love to be a sponge and sit out in the sun and soak everything in. And it rains here in the summer, so there's just such a vibrancy in the air that makes me just so joyful. And I feel like I felt this way when I was a kid, but I think it really, even though I've been bedridden and unable to really enjoy summer the way that I used to, I feel so like summer's like anything's possible, like that energy in High School Musical when they're counting down and it's that "What time is it" song and they're just like summer, summer, summer. That's like me when daylight savings time rolls around. I'm like, wow, like it's celebration. Like I'm so like I love it. It brings me so much joy, even if I haven't fully been able to be present for it for a long time. So I'm happy to be uh back out there this year. What about you?
Yay. I do. I think notoriously I hate the summer. I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
like I don't hate the
Yeah,
summer, but
yeah.
I
Are you a winter
hate
pal?
I'm an autumn
Okay. Yeah.
autumn gal, autumn pal, autumn, I don't know. Um, yeah, genetically, I'm predisposed to be in the desert or to
Mm.
be in like the tropics. And I was born in Daly City, California. No, I was born in San Francisco. My apologies to me. I'm saying, I was born in San Francisco. I was born in the fog. I grew up in Daly City for a
Mm.
little bit and just like was surrounded by gray gloom, fog. Carl the fog, that's his name. I love to be cold.
Mm.
um, and I just get really, I think I overheat and then my skin gets itchy and then I get
Hmm.
really irritable. I love the sun, like I love
Right.
when it's sunny outside. I love the concept of summer, but I physically can't be outside. I don't think it helps either that like my sister died on summer solstice,
Mm. Yeah.
and now I'm like summer. Now I don't have a sister. Well,
Yeah.
I do. She's just somewhere
She's not
else.
here on this earth anymore. Yeah.
Earth side. She's
Hmm.
became the sun. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for the past couple of years, my relationship with summer has just been like ugh, like just
Heavy.
wanting to like be inside, be away from people, and just like, yeah. But now I feel like it's been a couple years. I'm feeling like, I mean, I'm grieving all the time, but
Hmm.
like I'm less steeped in the grief to the point where like I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to do
Yeah.
anything. I feel like I'm sprouting, I'm blooming, even in the dark.
Yeah.
Even though like super super sentiment
Yeah.
and yeah, feel very hopeful for the summer actually. So yeah, I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Yeah. That's a big transition to kind of face in the summer. That's like heavy. So I'm glad you had like the space to be um grieving in the summer. Like that's really important. Mm. Sending love to your sister, sending love to you.
Thanks, now. Love you.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a ritual or some type of like activity you can do to like greet the summer. You know what I mean? Like a little hello summer. And like you're not cloudy, you're not cold, but you're here. That kind of thing.
Like,
I wonder if that would be nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Both of us are in like a flux with our relationship to summer. 'Cause yeah, I'm literally everything you described. Like I lived in San Francisco for um about a year and a half, 2 years. And then I lived in Santa Cruz for like 6+ years. I had to get the
goodness.
frick out of there. I was when you said you were born there and that's like where you were kind of raised, I was born in Dallas. And so I was like, oh, maybe that's why I love the heat. Like I don't remember. I think it snowed once when I was in Dallas back then, but yeah, I've just always been I'm like, I need to be where it's humid. I need to be swampy and sweaty and gross, but like I love it. Because the cold feels like it's like fingernails on a chalkboard of my bones. Like, oh, I'm so miserable in the cold, and I definitely struggle when I don't get this. I remember in Santa Cruz, you know how it's like in Santa Cruz, you get like it's cloudy all day, and then at like 2 p.m. or like noon to 2, it's like 70 degrees and sunny, like no matter what time of year it is. I would schedule my entire life around being able to just like instead of feel the rain on my skin, I was literally feel the sun on my skin. Like, I would really soak it in every single day because if I didn't, then I would just be so mentally down. I was really sensitive to the lack of sun. But I will say what you said about like appreciating the sun, but doing it inside, like I've definitely grown to appreciate that in my like disability. It is really nice. It's nice to just like have, the sun in your room and you're just reading a book and you're just existing and the sun's warm and you're air conditioned, so you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like you got a cool drink that stays cold with you. Um, but yeah, I think there's so much there. I think people's associations with the summer, like whenever summer rolls around, I see people talking about going out and I see people talking about, um, summer love and like, but I think that it is true that summer holds a lot of grief for a lot of people and that summer doesn't like hit like that for a lot of people, where a lot of people want to go inward in the summer. And I think that that's so real. That's like, justice for the summer discomfort people.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that doesn't really get talked about as much. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's real.
I want to know their signs.
Yeah.
What's the commonality?
Yeah,
The sun.
that's true. That'd be a good poll. Yeah, let us know. You can email us if you are a summer lover or hater and tell us your sign.
I
We would
want to
love
know
to
when
know.
people reemerge into the world. I
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I'm curious about your rising sign if you know that because seasonally, like in astrology, like the planets in the sky, like where they are, what sign they're in, like where that is in relation to your rising sign, like basically like uh, excuse me, houses 1 through 6 is the like night section of your chart. It's like the inner part of your chart that only has to do with you. It's like your internal relationship with yourself. So it's kind of like winter. It's like going inward and like uh hibernating and recalibrating and like that kind of thing. And then 7th through 12th house is going outward, engaging with the world, engaging with other people and all that stuff. So it's like um people who have um like I'm just curious, like, is there a correlation between like if you are, for example, Aries rising, like then, from Aries season to Libra season, which is spring to fall, that's like an inward period for you. And so is that something that you feel called to, or do you feel called to put yourself out in the world during that period? And then, the flip side is, like, Scorpio rising, you would go inward in the lower section of your chart from Scorpio, which is like winter, like fall into winter, um, to spring, Taurus. So it's like that would be the period of inner reflection and stuff like that. But we know for you that's opposite for you. So I'd be curious to see like, okay, who all is opposite, who all is, because I know for me, um, I'm an Aquarius rising, so Aquarius to Leo, which is winter to summer. Um, I'm supposed to be going inward, but I tend to think that I like, yeah, sometimes I do go inward. I think sometimes it depends. For me, it's a little bit of a flip-flop. Like, um, last year I was out and about. We met up in the Pacific Northwest. I spent 2 months in the Pacific Northwest, while the transits in the sky were in the outside part of my chart, the day part of my chart. And I don't have any plans to go anywhere, do anything. Like, I feel really called to kind of stay um in my little cave and do my little activities, and be kind of hanging out with myself. So, but that's not always the case. Sometimes it's the opposite for me. So yeah, I would love to know. Please let me know your rising sign and how you feel about summer, and whether you are in the house, out the house. Let me know.
The house.
Another great card. I love it.
You ready for the next one?
I am.
Okay, this is the one I pulled for you last time.
Yeah.
Nice Earth apples.
Beautiful
Yay.
card.
So this is just like a little, what am I seeing here? It's somebody's kitchen. There's like a big basket full of apples. I've got some like apple slices that are hanging up to dry. We got some jars of cinnamon and then an apple that's being cored. Yeah. And then like the sliced apples, you can see the little stars in the middle. Um, so as we're talking about celebrating our friendships, we also have to think about how we're sustaining them. When I was like pulling this card, I was thinking like, okay, I was looking at my friendships and I realized that I had a few friendships that like I had for over a decade and
Mhm.
I don't talk to them anymore. And it wasn't just like a conscious, like, we should stop being friends. It was like, we just ghosted each other.
Mhm.
And like, that's a bummer. But like, as I'm reflecting on it, like, sure, we were friends for a really long time, but we never had conversations about what our feelings were about each other. Like, what do I need from that other person? What do they need from me? How can we show up for each other in ways that actually feel supportive and like not persevering, but just like sustainable, Like it's that reciprocity in our relationships that are so important that I feel like, sometimes we forget that we have to put in that kind of work and
Mhm.
intention too. And that comes with communicating honestly, which is like scary sometimes. The key to like this card, or for this card, it felt like the key to reciprocity, or the key is reciprocity. It's not about transactions. It's not about like, oh, like I'm going to do this, so you have to do this. Or if I do this, then you have to do this. Like, it's not like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than like, it's not a transaction. Like, your friendships aren't transactions. It's not about like, what can I get from you? And it's not like that. It's like, what can we give to each other? How can we create like this sustainable kind of environment where we're both pouring into it, we're both nurturing it, we're both holding space for ourselves and what we need and what the other person needs. Part of that is asking yourself, like, how are you taking care of yourself? And how are you honoring your boundaries, or in what ways are you violating your boundaries? Because that's also going to bleed into the fabric of your friendships and relationships with other people. And if you're letting folks violate those boundaries, or if you're violating your boundaries, then like the structure is just going to be a little wonky. Or if you're
Mhm.
violating other people's boundaries, or you're not giving them space to say, like, I'm feeling this way. Can you show up for me in this way instead? um yeah, that's kind of that's the vibe of this. Just like, how can we work together? How can we build together? How can we pour into each other? how are we pouring into ourselves? Because we want, I hope, maybe long lasting, healthy, nourishing relationships with other people. Yeah, that's his card.
Wow. I love that. That's
Yeah.
so powerful. I think even astrologically, like um we have certain transits that are happening in Libra that uh bring that out, that dynamic of like, are you naming what you need? And are you like I think the two things that came up for me astrologically, I don't want to get too deep into the meat of like what everything means in terms of like what is Saturn and like what is Jupiter and all that kind of stuff. So we'll definitely get into that through the course of this podcast. But just for today, I don't want to go too deep into that. But the short end of it is like what is like the structure of the vessel that holds our relationships, and how are we um, maintaining that together? Like, how is that held by all of the kind of members of that friendship? And part of that is, like you said, like with like naming, like what your needs are, and honoring and respecting and creating space so that others can share their needs with you. And then the other piece that I thought was really interesting astrologically was that Jupiter is going to be in Gemini for the next year. And Gemini energy is very much like the sign of chatting, the sign of conversating. And I think that so much of reciprocity in relationship, yeah, a lot of it can be about acts of service, but I think we're in a day and age where so many relationships are like ours, where they're cross country and we don't get to see each other on a regular basis. And for those who do have like a close relationship with people in their vicinity, where yeah, you can go grab coffee with your friend like once a week, or you can come over to each other's houses, like there is a level of acts of service that can be kind of applied. But I think that for so many of us, our relationships are long distance now, and life has taken us to different places. And communication is like an essential way to stay in touch, and to be able to have conversations about the friendship. Where are we at? How do we feel? Where do we, how do we feel about each other? Like, what is our like I'm saying this a little plain language, but like what is our investment in each other, So obviously you wouldn't ask your friend that, but the conversation kind of making that clear to you of like, oh yeah, like, me and my friend both value these things and we value prioritizing. So like one way that I maintain, friendship with my friends back in California is we will watch like movies and shows together on Discord. And it feels like sometimes like when we're all gathered there, from different parts of the freaking country, it feels like a little living room and we're all just hanging out, and sometimes people will be playing games, I'll be crocheting, and we're just spending time together in a way that um shows me that like we like are invested in each other. And it is that kind of reciprocity of like we're holding that structure of our friendship even through like the distance. We've just kind of adapted the ways that we used to hang out to ways that we can now, and stay connected now. So um yeah, that's what came in for me. I think it's a great season to be thinking about that because there's a lot of squares to Saturn, and Jupiter is now in Gemini, and Libra, South Node, and Lilith are being activated. So, yeah.
While you were talking about that, I was thinking like sometimes how hard it is to maintain friendships as a neurodivergent person
Yes.
with constant communication, or maybe not constant, but consistent communication, like capacity to uphold that
Mhm.
is different. So I
Yeah.
really like, you know, how you were bringing up examples of how you spend time with folks when you don't live anywhere near them. Sometimes you're not even in the same like time zone as them.
Hmm.
And yeah, so
Sure
something
aren't.
like it's you all can decide
Yes.
what feels good to you, what feels like replenishing to you. That's also within your capacity. Because like, you know, sometimes I'm not checking the group chat.
Hmm.
Oh my. Okay. I guess I'll just add this anecdote of like when we did hang out in Seattle. Like I came from California to Seattle, Shroot came from Florida to Seattle. I was so not in the group chat that I booked my fucking flight or my flight a day early. So it wasn't until that I was boarding the plane
Yes.
to go to Seattle that I realized Shroot and our friend were not going to be there
Yeah,
for
you did
another
not
day.
have a place to sleep that night.
I not, I mean, like, thankfully
Yeah.
I did.
Yes.
Thankfully,
Yeah. You had a
my
friend.
sweet pal who is picking me up from the airport, like, just let me crash on his couch. And it was great. We got to like catch up and hang out, and it was so wonderful. But like, that's me as a friend. Sometimes I fear that like I'm in the conversation, but like, dang, sometimes I'm really not. Sometimes I really am not. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. But we love you anyway. I was like, okay, noted. I will hunt you down next time. I will uh harass you a little bit because I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable because I had this feeling in my gut. I was like, I don't because what happened was Beyonce changed the date of the concert by 1 day out. And so we had a conversation about it and I was like, I'm gonna go stay with another friend. I'm not gonna change my flight plan. And then yeah, you never said anything.
Yeah.
So I was just part of me was like, I don't know that Stevie's processed this because we changed our Airbnb date as a result. We had to book a whole different Airbnb. It was a whole thing. And I was like, should I hunt Stevie down? I was like, no, like I don't want to bother them. I'm such a type A person and I don't like to impose my uh I felt like it would be annoying. I was like, I don't want to annoy you. Like you're an adult. I was like, live your life. But yeah, it's like, okay, understood. Like you are, a little spacey in that respect, and that's completely not an issue for me. I can fully, so next time we make plans, we'll be like, hey Stevie, when's your flight?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I will accommodate what your idea of what's going on is we're gonna make that the idea of what's going on. That's completely fine with me. But yeah, that's that reciprocity, I think. And that like even I think with neurodivergence, you bringing that up is such a good point because neurodivergent friendships look so different. So like object impermanence is a huge issue with a lot of neurodivergent people where it's like, yeah, if you're not right in front of me, like I forget you exist. And so I don't struggle with that, but I'm friends with so many neurodivergent people who do struggle with that. And so I simply put myself in front of my friends. I text them a meme, I send them a video. I'm like, this made me think of you. Like, and I kind of create that culture of um bothering the hell out of my object and permanent friends. And after confirming that they are not bothered by it, in fact, they appreciate it. And so from my end, like it's like fun for me, like I think that's a fun way to connect with people. And I don't mind being like I think sometimes people can feel, oh, I'm the first person that texted like all the time, like and da 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 da. That person doesn't really care about me because they never text me first. And it's just like maybe, but also like sometimes when you're neurodivergent, that's just how life rolls. And yeah, I never I'm to me like friendship is so important and like I just love my friends so much as a Libra. Like Libras love Libras first of all, but also just Libras love to love people. And I'm super happy to be flexible and love people the way that they want me to. So I think that's good information to have about your friends and to practice kind of like to a certain extent non-judgmental like acceptance around stuff like that if it's not like a trigger or like a bother like a boundary for you to be able to see what are ways that like you guys can accommodate each other and that is like a way that reciprocity can like what it looks like and also like especially for neurodivergence we gave kind of some good examples of like how that can look different in neurodivergent relationships so I love
Beautiful.
it. That's wonderful. That's a great card.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more. You ready for this?
Yeah.
She's garlic.
Wow. I'm being hunted by these cards, Stevie.
It's true. Okay, garlic in this deck represents strength. And oh my gosh, this is just like my mouth waters every time I see this card. It's just like a chopping board. There's like a whole bundle of garlic. There's honey. There's like a whole honeycomb in the shape of a heart. And then there's like a little jar with honey and garlic. I'm so hungry. Okay, I love garlic. I really
Mood.
do. Um,
Garlic is
this
life.
and this card is reminding us that our strength is deeply interconnected with our gentleness and tenderness, especially with ourselves. As the card of resilience, it reminds us that resilience is built through active and ongoing care. It's not just forcing our way through an obstacle or trying to white knuckle through life. It is
Mm,
not. There's a time and a place for that. Like sometimes that's what life calls for, but it's not everything. That's just one piece to our self-preservation, to our power, to our strength. um it's the day-to-day things. It's the like moment to moment things of like, how am I taking care of myself? Like right now, Shroot, what does your body need?
water. I'm dehydrated.
Yeah, mine too. I need that. And like take a
Good
sip if you need.
question. Literally, I'm pouring more water.
It's checking in with ourselves continuously about what we need. Like I need water. Sometimes I need a break.
Mm,
Oftentimes I need food because I am so bad at
mm,
reminding myself to eat,
mhm.
or really good at knowing that I have to eat, but being like, I have to finish this task. And then I go hours. But I will always eat because, God, I love
Love
food.
food.
Um, but it's that. It's like taking care of yourself, um, in whatever way that that means. And also being understanding and accepting that the fact that like you have needs.
Hmm.
Your body has needs, your spirit has needs, your emotion has needs. Like you have needs.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of the time, a myth about resilience is that you have to do it alone and that it has to be hard and it has to look a certain way that just like really reinforces this hyper individualism when we need community. But
Hmm.
like we also need to show we are part of the community. We are part of
Hmm.
our community. So we have to show up for ourselves, and we can also call in support from other people, like that reciprocity piece, this piece around like having people in our ecosystem that like we do feel safe enough and comfortable enough to be like, can you help me grocery shop or
Hmm.
like body double with me so I can like get
Hmm.
through task, or can you listen to me rant? I don't need my problems to be solved right now. Like I just need someone to listen before I realize that I'm being delusional.
Yeah.
Like I just need that. So embrace the gentleness so that you can also embrace the ferocity, the fire, the power, the strength. Yeah, that's garlic.
Yeah. Oh, love that card. What a powerful card.
I have to
Nice.
turn it over because I'm
Yeah.
so hungry.
Yeah, that's too real. Um, I feel like when you were talking, it reminds me of um so much of Gemini season is going to be the planets in Gemini aspecting Saturn in Pisces. And for a lot of us, if you were born around 94 to 96, a little bit of 93, but um, that's up for grabs because it was a small chunk of people in 93, like more around the summer. But mostly 94 to 96, if you were born during those years, you're going through a Saturn return right now. And so much of a Saturn return is about an intensification of responsibility that produces maturity. And I said I wasn't going to go into this, and here I am going into it. And it happens around age 20, it's somewhere between 27 and like 30. And it happens every 30 years. So the first Saturn return is at that 27 to 30 age, and it is the shift from your youth to you're grown. Like you're no longer a young adult, you're just an adult, no prefix. And it's this idea of, you know, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And we have to take responsibility for the space we take up in our communities and the space we take up in the world, and the way that we're in engagement with each other. And I think that like this Gemini season, Venus is going to move into Cancer in the middle of June, and Cancer is opposite Capricorn, and Capricorn is a Saturn ruled sign. So it's kind of like garlic. I feel like that card is such a perfect representation of that kind of juxtaposition between strength and how to facilitate strength, we need gentleness. And so I think like it's so important to like, you know, in the face of understanding that like, maybe you could pull all-nighters in your 20s, and maybe you could eat like not enough or a bunch of, stuff that makes you feel like crap afterwards. And you could drink yourself under the table, and, you could do all these things to yourself and push your body past your limits. But this is kind of a period of time where our limits are being made aware. We're being made aware of our limits. And so Gemini season especially is a really important time to meet our limits with gentleness and to understand that like our limits are what make us human, and they are what distinguish us from other forms of life on Earth. And that, like, to be grateful for them because those limits are trying to keep you alive. And it's, a blessing and a privilege to be alive as a human being. It's a really fleeting experience in the grand time scale of the universe. And so, um, it's kind of like, honor the gift that you've been given by being human in this lifetime, by being gentle with yourself around your limits. And with the food thing, that's so damn real. I like to get really creative with my limits in the sense that um with neurodivergence, I find it hard to switch between tasks too, where I'm like, yeah, I have to finish this. But that's why I keep my water on me at all times. I keep a giant, this thing is full every day and every night I fill it up, and it is literally always right next to my bed or right next to my desk, so that like I'm like forced to I always keep a little snack with me, some walnuts for me. So like I kind of try to find ways to work within my limits. And that's something that I have conversations with neurodivergent people all the time in readings, where it's like, because I take a disability justice centered approach to my readings. And I think it's so important that we honor, like, yeah, okay, I struggle with this. This is something that's like part of my nature. But that doesn't mean that I can, just be like, oh well, like that's just how I am. Um, it's like, okay, like how can we use that as a jumping off point to be creative, and find strategies that work within the confines of our limitations. And I find that like both me and my clients, when we adopt those strategies, it's so empowering, and it's so kind of like it closes like a tab of worry in our brains where it's like we don't have to worry about like, oh, how am I going to figure out like I'm hungry, like how am I going to eat? It's like, oh, I have a protein bar right here. Like I'll eat. Close the tab. Like, oh, I have this giant freaking pitcher of water here. Like if I'm thirsty, it's a very short solution. I don't have to be distracted from my work to hydrate. So it's like, stuff like that. I think it's important to meet that limit with like gentleness, but then also like by meeting it with gentleness and creativity, it's producing courage. It's like, yeah, we have the courage to honor ourselves in the face of a world that constantly expects us to deny ourselves. And there's so much power in that. So I love it. I love that
Ugh,
card.
I'm taking that all in.
Yeah.
As you were talking, I was also thinking about just like the systemic barriers in getting our needs
Yeah.
met, our
Yep.
needs met, like they're like talking about food or talking about
hmm
having a place to sleep and
Yeah.
all of those things, like, or even getting medical care to get your needs met. There are so many freaking hoops to jump through on purpose.
hmm
And I'm just thinking about that too. Like, life can be really hard to navigate
Yeah.
because there are things in life that make it really hard to navigate it. And if we're having trouble with taking care of ourselves, if we're having trouble with like accessing things that help meet our needs, I just also want to like offer that, I guess, affirmation and gentleness that
hmm
like if you're struggling to do something, if you're struggling to take care of yourself, like it is not all on you. Like
Mm.
it, like a blame thing. It is
hmm
not, like I think that also comes with like the internalized hyper individualism. Like
Hmm.
this, these issues, these barriers that I'm facing are my fault because of X, Y, and Z. When it's just like a piece to the puzzle, like one factor in a much larger microsystem, macro system,
Hmm.
environment,
Yeah.
cosm. I don't know, whatever those words are. So I just also wanted to name that too.
Oh, that's so important. And I also think that this is something we've talked about recently, this idea that it's so easy to have empathy and gentleness and extend compassion for other people in those situations. And to then be hyperfixated on taking personal responsibility for all the ways that we ourselves don't live up to this. That we're like, oh, but I have a different situation. And I think that, yeah, I wanted to name that in the face of anybody who heard, that really powerful word that Stevie said and was like, oh, but I'm the problem. I always say that, we're in a care shortage. And, a side effect of capitalist patriarchy is that it produces a care shortage on purpose, because care-oriented labor is the most underappreciated, underprotected, under valued, undercompensated, overexploited sector in the planet. That is just a fact, and it has been a fact for, hundreds and maybe even thousands of years. So we are operating on such a tremendous generationally reinforced deficit of care that, even if you feel like, oh yeah, like I'm good, I live a very comfortable, good life, like, you know, um, I'm the problem in my life, whatever. It's like, no, like we're all suffering as a result of the care shortage. We have all paid kind of a price, whether it is a big one or a small one. And so um there is no kind of like we all have a collective responsibility to each other to extend that compassion to both each other and ourselves. Like when we were talking about the Apple Card last week, um, the conversation that came up for me was this idea of like reciprocity is not something that we do only in exchange with other people. It's something that we do in exchange with ourselves as well. And so denying ourselves compassion around the systemic failures that shape our limitations, um, it it is a form of closing off that reciprocity with ourselves. And so we can leverage gentleness, we can leverage compassion for ourselves, and honor the very real emotions that come up as we navigate systemic failure. It opens the door to that exchange with ourselves again. So I just wanted to name that. It's really important. So yes, you, even if you think it's not you, you. So,
Actually.
yeah.
Yay.
That's
Well,
great.
those are my cards. That's what I got for June.
Those are some great cards. Um, this is great. I'm glad we did this.
Yay.
This was a lot of fun. So yeah, hopefully we gave you lots to chew on, lots to think about, and feel free to ask us if you have any questions. You can email us again at bleedingheartsclub.pod@gmail.com. You'll find an email in the show notes. And thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for being here. Any final thoughts, Stevie?
Where can we find you?
Oh, good question. You can find me on pretty much every social media platform at Shrootrees. That's Shrutrees. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, I don't know, Twitter, you name it, I'm there. What about you, Stevie?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at cosmic.return. And I actually just posted my first TikTok. So I guess you can find me on TikTok
Go.
also at cosmic.return. Hooray.
Beautiful. I love it. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, y'all. Love you.
Bye. Love you.